Political leaders in New York and Virginia are touting the benefits of Amazon's historic expansion in their states. You're looking at pictures of the New York site in Long Island City. After a 13-month search and bids from 238 cities, the tech giant announced it will split its second headquarters between the Long Island City neighborhood in Queens, New York, and Arlington, Virginia.
Amazon hopes to bring 25,000 jobs and $2.5 billion of investment to each location. The company was offered more than $2 billion in tax incentives from the two combined. In a new article, The Atlantic's Derek Thompson asks, why are U.S. cities spending tens of billions of dollars to steal jobs from one another in the first place? Derek is with us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wouldn't we want governors, mayors, others to say and put out the red carpet and bring a company like Amazon to their neighborhood?
Sure. Amazon's a fantastic company, and it's a credit to many cities that get Amazon jobs or jobs from Apple or any other large company. But here's the issue. Every year, we spend, as cities and states, $70 to $90 billion just to move jobs within the U.S., to steal jobs, essentially, from other U.S. cities and states. That's more than the federal government spends on housing or infrastructure. And this is money that is taken from cash that would be spent on streets, on roads, on bridges, on broken subway systems, like right here in New York, on schools, on municipal funds that should go to the people, but instead go to companies that can be worth trillions of dollars.
Okay, so what about all the products that Amazon sells in Long Island City and New York that then creates tax revenue, sales tax?
Absolutely. It's a great question. The experience, though, of lots of cities, like let's say, I'm going to use examples from Wisconsin and Washington, suggests that a lot of times companies promise to deliver on these subsidies, but actually don't. So Foxconn, for example, the Chinese manufacturer, received a $4 billion subsidy from Wisconsin to build a factory there. They've now said they're not going to create 13,000 jobs as initially promised, but rather 10,000 jobs. And oh, by the way, that factory they were going to build, they might not build, and if they do, it's going to be filled with robots.
But
Boeing has had a really similar experience in Washington, $8 billion subsidy for Boeing that they're now trying to claw back because they haven't created as many jobs as promised. So yes, these are great companies, but they don't always follow through with their promise.
But some of these incentives are tied to jobs, unlike what we saw in Foxconn, right? So could you say lesson learned?
This is a really interesting point, because you're right. If you're just going to subsidize the jobs that are created, what's the problem? Well, here's the problem. Amazon is a retail, advertising, and media conglomerate. And it is being paid $1.6 billion to move to the nation's capital of retail, advertising, and media. That seems like $1.6 billion to pay Amazon to do something they were probably going to do anyway, which is move many thousand jobs, maybe not 25,000, but many thousands and thousands of jobs to New York City, the nation's capital of business. So in many ways, you see these corporate subsidies go to pay companies to do that which they were going to do anyway. And that is wasteful spending, especially when it's taking one for one, from money that would go to roads, bridges, and education.
Well, we don't know if they were going to do that, number one. But number two, Derek, sounds like you're drinking a little glass of Haterade. Because why should Amazon be blamed? Because some could say, listen, this is just a smart business decision on their part. Isn't it up to the cities? The cities don't have to make the bid. If they want to fix a crappy subway system, they should do that. Why is Amazon being blamed? Because they're taking advantage of a good business decision.
You're exactly right. If I'm serving the haterade,
I don't want to call you a hater.
I'm not serving the haterade to Amazon. I'm not even maybe serving the haterade to New York City or New York State. I'd like to serve this haterade to the federal government, because there is a clause in the U.S. Constitution that says that the U.S. government has the ability to monitor interstate commerce, to make laws regarding that. And if we are essentially in a situation where states are spending $90 billion every year just moving jobs across state lines, the federal government can make a decision that says, maybe let's ban this. Maybe let's say that these states and cities can't spend any money at all on companies. They should spend monies on making their cities better, on improving infrastructure and workforce and education in those cities to create cities that companies want to go to anyway.
Well, I say Amazon can't be blamed for that.
No,
are you upset about the cities that were chosen?
I do think that to a certain extent Amazon dramatized this as if it was going to be some sort of Cinderella ball where they were going to put the slipper on a surprising city's proverbial foot. And instead it's sort of like they slip the slipper onto, you know, the evil stepsister Anastasia. I mean, not to denigrate New York City, but we don't need an Amazon to be the greatest, you know, business city in America.
What about the information that Amazon acquired in terms of all the bids from these cities?
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating case. We don't really know yet what information they got from each city, but it's clearly the case that a city with national ambitions that's trying to build warehouses and offices around the country, around the world, really gain a lot of knowledge by essentially enticing these cities to tell them what their infrastructure plans on. So look, a brilliant, brilliant move by Jeff Bezos, who's a genius, but I would like to see the system, the rules of the system fixed.
And a third smaller city in Nashville, we should point out as well.
Indeed.
Great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't drink so much haterade.
Derek said no.
I think just raising good questions.
Yes, yes, yes.